You're listening to the Russell Brand podcast in demand and on demand. Hello, I'm Russell. If you want to talk to me and Matt, you can email us at russellandmatt@audioboom.com. We're here, of course, with Mr. G, who's the poet of the show, who will summarise this nonsense at the end of it as if to make some sort of sense of it, to make some sort of narrative out of what is essentially just a tunnel of nonsense.
You're listening to the Russell Brand podcast with Russell and Matt. Oh, yeah.
Don't look at this as a nostalgic project. Look at this as a
we're going to-
forward-thinking podcast.
Bright future.
I
promised myself I wouldn't cry.
You can't even say bright future. Without, do you know what I feel like?
It's only because the only food to eat around your house is nuts. So I've got bits of nuts in
we're
my
trying
throat.
to make a podcast and you sound so wretched and helpless and elderly. I was
Bright
thinking,
future.
we're confused. Before we came out, I wanted to not mention the topics we're talking about like the various ways now that we feel old. You're a father. G's married. But look at me, woo! I'm divorced. I'm a divorcee. I'm thinking of joining a dating website. Like this is we're embracing the techno future. We're on a podcast now, Matthew.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing my best. I just had a little cough.
Have you changed much then?
No, still the same. I think that the tragedy of life, or the good thing of life, is no one ever changes. I feel exactly the same as I do
When you were a
did
little boy?
when I was 15.
I mean, right down to using the present tense to
So, yeah.
describe that state.
I feel the same as I am now. I'm 15.
I feel the same as I do when I'm 2. I feel the same as I do when I'm 22.
Have you changed since we last broadcast?
Have I? Woo! Changes. I'm only one of the most important people in the world. Did you not see the other day that I'm one of the world's best brains or something?
Yeah, I did see that.
I can't
What
believe
number
I'm
are
one
you?
of the world's best
What
thinkers.
number are you?
I think I'm soaring up the charts. I think I'm straight in at number 3 or something. I'm like wet.
No. Isn't it 50 greatest minds in the world or something?
Of the greatest minds in the world, I'm
Right,
certainly one of
find
them.
out what number he is.
Look at the other ones. They're all proper people.
Can you go up next year?
What do you mean? Like I could go up
Like
the
you could
ranks?
have a really good idea and go at number 2.
Guys, wait till you see this new water filter I've developed.
Up it goes. Oh, he's done something naughty.
Oh dear.
Off the list.
Yeah, it's interesting. I read a story about it, obviously, and in it said, because previous winners, Richard Dawkins, Mao Zedong.
Hang on, are you a winner of it?
Well, no, I'm not a winner. I'm just in contention, but
Right.
obviously it's outraged certain sectors of the press.
Squares.
The squares, mate, they don't like to see me with my estuary vowels and my tight little bowels shooting up the thinking charts. They'd like it to be some old fuddy-duddy. So, like, in the Evening Standard, it said, Russell Brand's been plaguing Prospect magazine with phone calls demanding to be on that list.
What?
I haven't...
How did they find that out?
3 or 4 calls at most. I tell you who's a bloody good thinker. It's the White Brand.
Obviously, you didn't do that.
Well, I didn't even know what Prospect magazine was until I found out that they've respected these thoughts I've been having.
And then you thought, that's the bloody best magazine in this country.
The press will do anything to disparage me. After one of my bouts of quite worthwhile talking or thinking, and I don't know what it is I get rewarded for these days. I'm sure I've got
Thinking
prizes.
before talking, generally.
I do a bit of thinking, then I'll do some talking. Sometimes I just go purely with impulse. But one night I came back here, there was I was in the middle of some sort of scandal. I was on the front page of the Sun or something. And there was a Daily Mail journalist outside the house. He couldn't have looked more like a Daily Mail journalist. He was wearing a Mac. He looked like he'd been blended at the last minute.
He was wearing a Mac.
Yeah.
You have a little hat on with a
Like
press pass in it. Yeah.
in the rim. He might as well have. He had
Grubby
quite,
pad.
He was a bit. He was quite auburn with ringlety hair. Porcine. Like at the last minute, in the last month of gestation, he'd been in a sow. and he'd been born part pig. He had a sort of a piglet quality to him. And then he went, Russell, I'm here from the Daily Mail. Have you got any quotes on something or another about a landlord's rent or some abstract thing? And I'd just been round a really, really poor person's house making the most righteous film imaginable with a man called Michael Winterbottom, whose name you're going to accept in a mature manner. And
I've heard of Michael Winterbottom.
have you? Yeah,
Old chili bum. Of course I've heard of him.
Frosty Bot. Well, like, been around this woman's house, and they were really poor, and we were talking about, like, you know, austerity and all this stuff. This film I'm doing with Michael Winterbottom. I mentioned I was hungry at the house, and the woman goes, "Oh, you got to have some soup." We were in Basildon in Essex. "Oh, you got to have some soup." And I was like, "Oh, no, you're all right." I didn't. I thought, I can't come round here, a show business person.
And how did you mention it though?
I don't know why I mentioned that I was hungry. I was sat there in their house, in the front room, talking about they couldn't afford the university's degree. What did I actually say?
Yeah, no, I'm wondering if you sort
What's
of
the
like,
actual words?
we can't afford this. I'm hungry.
Well, of course, my daughter can't go to university. You got any Jaffa cakes, love? Come on, hand it over. I feel like chicken tonight.
Dinner in this ditch.
What's that smell? It better not be what I'm eating. I'm famished. Anyway, these people, God love them, the mums goes, yeah, like, goes, I'm hungry. I bellowed it. I must have. I don't know. I remember. I thought I was being sensitive.
I reckon you'd probably be going, oh, I'm just a bit hungry or something for something else.
Yeah.
And then she
as
latched
soon
onto
as I
that.
said it, I knew they had the vibe of a nan, the mum and the daughter, and that
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said it, that they would have to react. I'm hungry. They went, oh, we'll have to eat. I got some butternut scotch soup in the butternut scotch soup. she named it outright, butternut squash soup, she said. I got some butternut squash soup. Do you want it? And it was in a bag. It was a bag of soup. I guess they'd made it earlier and bagged it up. It was in the kind of bag, say you got a pint of blood off someone, like, I don't know, you're in...
No, that's how soup comes these days.
It didn't have any... Matthew,
Didn't
I know
have-
what soup is. It didn't have labels on it. It wasn't branded. It was see-through. It was like... It was as, you know, when someone's walking around
A
a
drip,
hospital.
yeah.
It was like a drip bag.
Fluid drip.
See-through and everything.
Yeah.
So she gave me that.
It's
She
probably a colostomy bag. Whose house was this?
She handed me a colostomy bag full of butternut squash soup. And I said, oh, thank you, I'll have that when I get home. So I arrived home, it was dark, I'm tired, I'm fed up. There's a journalist outside my house. He's, as I said, he's part porcine, part piglet.
And so you offered him to come inside and eat the soup with you.
I just felt so excited. Don't you ever, like when you're being hassled, like, don't you, like, I sort of feel that everyone's conducting themselves on this level of, oh, you know, it's allowed that I'm a journalist and I'm outside this guy's house and I can hassle
Harassing him.
And then just had this realisation, oh my God, I've got a bag of soup in my hand. I'm holding a bag of soup. And I just felt so suddenly... And in fact, I didn't... and I went into the house. Nick, my manager who I was with, goes, come on, mate, poured me inside. And then I remembered, oh my God, I'm holding this bag of soup. So I shot out there. I was so keen. And he looked down, and I opened the bag of soup up, like at him, as it's sort of like a vaginal burst of bash. Soup slopped right up him. It went sort of up his shoulder, up his thigh, up his head. It wasn't hot or anything. It's just cold soup. But and then he went, "Oh my God, what is that? Curry? I don't even want to know what it is." Oh wow! I felt so excited and pleased.
How close were you to him? Because he could have struck you back.
I was well within striking range. If he'd had a bag of soup of his own.
What is that, curry? Right, get me tomato and basil.
Yeah, try this, ratatouille. But the problem is, I suppose, I wish I was able to do it in a more light-hearted mood, because I did it in a kind of vengeful mood.
Oh, I don't think anyone would see that from a distance and think that was violent and aggressive the way he threw that butternut soup.
You think that any violent act that involves butternut soup is undermined
What is
by the
butternut
ingredients?
soup? Isn't it butternut squash? Butternut squash soup.
Squash.
Butternut soup.
Mr. G's here with us, helping us to name soups correctly, and also he'll be summarising the show like he did in the good old days. You'll be able to email us eventually on this show and contribute by emailing Russell and Matt at Audio Boom.
What happened at the end of that soup thing? Just
sort of, like after you've been in a confrontation of any kind, you feel sort of that bristly sense of righteousness. I don't like that
adrenaline that takes ages to go away.
And I always feel bad as well on a sort of a level of, I shouldn't have thrown soup at that man. But I also felt quite happy that he had soup on him. Like he would have to go home surprised by his own soupy...
It's the sort of thing that you could sort of have him in and give him a shower, and then, do you know what I mean? Like, you do something like that and then sort of think, oh, sorry, mate, do you want to come in for a shower? And then he'd annoy you again.
That's the cop there.
Hit him with a baguette.
Roast tomato. Yeah.
Oh. So why didn't they run with that? Because that's a story.
It's a great story. I don't know why they didn't use...
They could have had a picture of him covered in soup with a sad face, sort of going, look, my life's ruined. Yeah, they missed the trick there.
They missed the trick, didn't they? They missed the potential article. So it's like... That's an example, I suppose, of how I've not changed. That's kind of...
Did you see that the universe has had you carrying a bag of soup or something?
I did.
Good. So you saw it as a karmic thing, and then you threw that on him. It's full circle.
I thought it was the circle of life. I thought I was being cosmically guided. I thought, why am I holding this bag of soup if it's not
What if you'd have
just
found
to
a
throw it?
sword at the end of the road?
I would have plunged Excalibur deep into his portly pig belly.
No, I think I don't think it's the worst assault. I think it's all right.
No, the worst things have happened, don't they?
I like the fact that he reacted mainly to the flavour of the soup. What is this?
Curry off!
No, I don't like this.
That's off! How did you make this? Yeah, that's how I've been spending my time. You've changed, I suppose, in that you're a father figure.
Yeah,
I mean, you're just actually a father. Earlier on, when I was trying to capture what happened to me, I goes, you live with that son
Now you live with that son.
You live with that son guy. What's his name? Sonny Boy. Cohen. That's him.
Yeah, no, I'm a father now. I never thought that, that would happen.
It was
Well,
inevitable. the way you were
medically and
carrying
also
on.
socially
Yeah.
and romantically and
But
everything.
now I've seen you with him and I can verify you are a father.
I'm a dad.
What's going on the practical level?
Well, he's 2.5 now, so we got through the whole baby stage.
Is that better now that he's not a baby?
I think it gets easier as they get older. Babies are sort of little alien things, but now you can talk to them, reason with them.
Have you ever found yourself doing something you think this is not what a father should be doing? That was irresponsible, and that he should be taken into care.
Well,
Like, have you left him somewhere or
No,
anything like that?
no,
Have you put him in a box to keep him under control?
no. I did play a game with him where he liked, which I was throwing cushions at him from quite far away, and he goes harder, more like that. And he got to the point where they were like hitting him and knocking him right over and
He
making
still
him.
liked it.
He liked it, and then I sort
never
of
went
thought,
too far.
out of context, this looks like I'm just bombarding him
Holy-
violently with cushions, but no, he's
To
no.
an onlooker from like perhaps a neighbour spying at you.
Yeah.
In your
It would look like, apart from the giggling, it would look brutal.
Morgan's at it again. Missiles across the room at his boy. Oh, it's harrowing.
No, it wasn't. No, but it's good. You should get involved.
Well,
Not with him. I mean, with your own one.
I'm thinking about. I want one. I'm wondering whether. Could I adopt? To be honest, I think I'd just end up palming him off. I think I'd adopt him. I think as soon as he got home, I'd go, I don't want nothing to do with you. I think I would be able to take the responsibility. I think the minute I got him back from, I like to think Africa, Malaysia.
Oh, right.
Well,
That's a
why
bit
bother?
fashionable, though, isn't it? Shouldn't you get one from...
Get a little white lad.
Yeah.
Come on, he's Sonny Boy! It's Evia!
Well, it's very hard to adopt. But that's the irony. You could just go and have one with anyone.
You can have one.
But to actually get one
with
that's already in
anyone.
existence without making your own is very difficult.
One that's already surplus to requirements down the
Yeah.
orphanage.
Especially now that you've admitted you'd get bored of him when you got him home.
Yeah, that's not going to look good. Mr. Brand, we refer you to this recording. I'd get bored of him when I get home and palm him off. That don't look good. Oh, come on.
Oh, come on.
I suppose it's becoming evident that there's a child-shaped hole in my life. Because I keep doing things to, like, for example, I wrote that children's book, Pied Piper. The other week I was reading it at the Royal Festival Hall with the illustrator Chris Riddell, done the brilliant illustrations in the book. And at the end, like, it was meant to be a questions. You know, the kids go, Russell, what's your interest? They all ask the same question. What made you write a children's book?
What,
Like,
children say that? That's a very strange
they all
question
ask
from
that
children.
question.
You'd think they'd go, what's your favourite colour? Or something like that.
They know that the context they're in, Matt.
What's the inspiration?
Why is there so many stars in the sky? They
Yeah.
know that they're at a reading, that they've got to narrow it
old are
down.
they? How
I think
old
they've
are
been coached.
Well, of course they must have done. Because kids would just ask mad questions. They wouldn't sort of go, what made you choose the Pied Piper of Hamelin?
Do you think the Pied Piper is emblematic of man's identity beyond duality, Mr. Brand?
What is it about? It is mental, isn't
The
it?
funny thing about a fairy story like the Pied Piper or any fairy story, or perhaps even good art and religion in general, is it refers to something that can't quite be explained. Because if you break down the Pied Piper, there's a town, the town gets rats, the Pied Piper turns up. It's a bit like Jaws, actually. The guy turns up and says, I can deal with this problem. They knock him. He says, look, pay me for that. They say no. He takes all the children. That is at best an overreaction. But like somehow when you read it,
Hang on,
kind of makes sense.
If you're equating that to Jaws, that's the equivalent of the bloke with the boat, them saying, pay him, and then him not doing it, and then going around biting people on the beach. Which would be a very different movie. And I'll bite people on the beach.
Oh yeah, I got rid of your shark. Chop that on the leg. God,
You're going to need a bigger boat. Yeah, but I suppose there is an element of that.
He's a
It's
mysterious
monster.
stranger. He turns up and deals with. I mean, because what I think fairy stories are about, aren't they? Is that the whole town is a metaphor for the consciousness of an individual. The town is you as an individual. The rat is your animal nature, your ugliness. To get rid of that, you have to access this figure, this aspect of you that's beyond duality. And if you don't deal with that honestly and truthfully, you'll lose your innocence or the children. Because I thought it evokes a feeling. Them fairy stories, it makes you feel sort of weird. That's, I think, the point of them.
But is that because we remember them from childhood, or do you think they are sort of Jungian, like?
It's Jungian. I mean, some of them are a bit more literal, aren't they? Like Red Riding Hood is like a woman on the verge of sexual maturity. He's got to stay on the path to reach grandmother's house to become the matriarch. Don't go off with that wolf, the wolf of your own lupine sexuality. Red Riding Hood, you stay on the path, get to grandma's house. Bit more obvious.
I thought it was just to teach kids not, danger.
Teach kids danger?
Yeah.
What, like
Well, the wolf's
Green Cross Code?
The wolf's obviously like
He's up to no good.
Yeah.
Well, I think that they have more potent messages. That's how they endure, because they are not. They relate to stuff that you can only understand through stories that you can't understand in a simple way. I mean, so I tried to tell that to the kids at the Royal Festival, or many of them just openly wept. At the end of it, I let chaos reign.
Yeah.
I goes, right, any children that want to come up here, come up here. And before, it was, not ironic, it was Jermaine. It was the Pied Piper. I was surrounded by children. Although I did see someone on Twitter say they looked like all that was required was for Jarvis Cocker to come over and get his bum out. Because
Really?
I was like surrounded by just...
Like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Did any children choose not to go up there? If you say that to it, does any children want to come up on stage? You'd have to be
They came in their droves.
All of them?
Like loads of them. It was an amazing feeling to get mobbed by children. It's not like a normal feeling, because they're little. One of them... I think there's a tipping point with kids where they just weep and weep. There's a tipping point with children where, like, around before 6, it's like they've got access to this world of total magic. Like, one of the inquiries, one of them was just staring at me, telling me about his dreams and things like that in a crowd, oblivious to the fact there's a crowd. When they're about 8 or 9, they are just, I feel like they're more miniature adults. They're dealing with you, they're reasoning with you.
Yeah, they've learnt to suppress certain parts of their personality.
They're like giddy little artists, like the...
Maybe on their 7th birthday, they just think, well, come on, time to grow up a bit here. Can't go on forever just blabbing about everything I feel.
You got a cold, did he, your boy?
Yeah.
And then you got one too.
That's the hard thing. If you have a kid, the worst thing is when they're ill. It's really hard. Because even though it's not serious, but when they have a cold, they get a temperature and they feel boiling hot, and you have to try and get medicine into them. So, like...
Do they understand the concept?
No, they don't. Because kids' medicine is pretty sweet and sugary, and normally they quite like it, right? But he got into his head he didn't like medicine because we had to give him this other stuff once, like cough medicine, tasted horrible. And so what you have to do is get a syringe, like a plastic syringe, no needle, obviously, put the kid's medicine into it, and then hold them down, put your finger between their teeth so they can't bite their mouth shut, and shoot it against their cheek, and then they go and they swallow
awful.
it. It's awful.
That's awful.
They're
That's
screaming.
like Guantanamo Bay. That's like waterboarding.
Force feeding them. You are, and then you take them to the hospital, and that's how they say you do it. When we were in America once, they gave us a thing. What do you call it? A thing that goes up your bum.
Suppository.
Dildo. That's it.
I pray to God it's a suppository in this
Sorry,
context.
yes, it's not a butt plug. They gave us a tiny little... Well, they didn't... They used it, right? We said, he won't take medicine. And I went, okay, we get a suppository,
Stick
right?
up his bum.
Back in England...
That's worse. It's like
No,
if
it's
you won't
so
take
tiny.
medicine,
It's so
here's
tiny.
something up your bum.
Yeah.
Well, is it like a threat?
Well, I don't think they... Listen, it's so tiny. Like here, it'd be... Yeah, obviously, it'd be worse, wouldn't it, as an adult? Like, if you don't eat this, it's going up your bum, right? But
You will eat your carrots.
or they were going up sideways. But when I was back in the UK, this GP, we said, we're really struggling to get medicine into him. And I said, I forgot the word for suppository, as I just did.
Why do you keep forgetting the word for
Because
suppository?
I'm not very good with words.
When it's always been a key part of your life.
And so I said to the GP, could we put it up his bum? Right, meaning like the medicine, like not... I felt like the drug, right?
Right,
Not
the word
this
suppository
pink
was
medicine.
in that context vital. Like, there's no
It
way
was.
of getting through that conversation without the word suppository.
Yeah.
Because what happened after you've
Well,
gone,
the
put
whole
it up his
it was
bum?
as if the walls of the surgery collapsed.
Yeah.
My wife looked at me in horror. Everything went wrong because I said, she goes, "Oh, if he's not taking it," she was an Indian lady. She was like, "Oh, if he's not taking your medicine, then you must." And I said, "Could we put it up his bum like that?" And then she just sort of put her pen down. You know the way doctors do.
When they put the pen down, that's bad for you.
Yeah.
She probably pressed the button under the desk. You was immediately put on a
Things
register.
I reckon I was. And then she turned around to me. She just went, "No, we don't want to be putting things up our baby's bottoms." Like that.
You shouldn't have to be told that.
Well, it happened in
at the beginning
America.
of this interview, Mr. Morgan, I said to you, have you done
Oh,
anything
don't.
with your child that's unusual or implies within it that you are an unfit father? Or within minutes, what we've admitted is you tried to medicine him up the jacksie
Listen.
in front of a doctor.
No, but like I'm being
That was just
so
semantics.
committed to his. Yeah, it's
It was
just
a
semantics. Yeah,
If you'd said the word, what about a suppository? I don't think she'd have gone.
I think she'd have still
Yeah,
put.
I'll see you joking.
I think she'd have still put her pen
What,
down.
when shit comes out? She's
remember-
a bit childish, actually. I'm on your side now.
Yeah.
I've gone on an about farch. I think it's called.
I
An about farch. Germans.
I euphemised it and said,
Well, that's not a
put it up his
euphemism up the bum, mate. That's
I
plain
didn't
English.
say, "Can we boot it up his arse?" Did I? I said,
Yeah,
what about...
out the Aries.
yeah, but like it was just bad. But yeah,
How did you
I've
end
had
it?
that from GPs quite a bit because I'm a hypochondriac and now I've projected
Good
out
that
to
you've
Cohen.
admitted it.
Well, I've always
Because you used
admitted
to
it.
deny it. You never
It's
used
a
to say
real
I'm
condition,
Even,
so of course
I
I'll
recently
admit it.
received a letter from your mother in which she reiterated your hypochondria. Thank you, Russell, she said, for your endless generosity. I won't go into details. That's not what the
worrying.
story's about. The story's not about my generosity. That's a side note, she said. Then she goes, we've all been a bit ill over Christmas, except for Matt, the hypochondriac.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Thank you.
Being a hypochondriac actually protects you because you're so much more worried about picking up germs or, you know, like if someone sneezes on a train, I'll move now. I don't care. Like, because I just think, if I get a cold, my little boy
What if you
gets
think
a
there's a
cold.
bomb in a bag?
I do think that sometimes. I sit there and just think, nah.
What about this? So he got a cold, you got a cold. What happened next?
Well, I suppose there was something more embarrassing that happened, right? So he's really snotty, and you have to teach them how to blow their nose. You know, you just think that's obvious, and so you go blow, and he knows blowing in the context of birthday candles. So he
Bloody
goes
birthday candles.
like that, and you go, no, blow through your nose, and he's like, looks at you like you're mad, and then you go, and you teach him it.
Police siren there, likely coming to claim
Yeah,
Matthew
here they
Morgan
go, yes.
for being unfit father.
My big suitcase full of suppositories for the local children.
So you have to teach him the
But
concept of blow the old ooter.
Yes, you have to, you know, you're teaching him about life.
How?
If you've got, he was asleep on me, right? This is the story. You know, whatever.
Let's get there.
I put my hands up, right?
Let's have it.
He was asleep on my stomach. I was wearing a black t-shirt.
Lovely so far. An image of it could be an Athena poster. That could be an Athena poster.
It could be.
Matt Morgan
It should be.
laying down. He's got his son asleep on his chest. Lovely. What
You've
a
got
great
that
image.
son you live with. Right?
He's got
asleep.
that little fella, a version of him made out of all these bits and bobs and jeans and cuddly boy down with his missus. Now he lives with a guy.
Right,
Love
so
it. Childhood, I call
We've
it.
set the scene. He's asleep on my chest and he's got snot. He wipes his nose on my black t-shirt. I'm covered in snot. It's been going on for ages. But as a father, you just think,
That's part
fine,
of life
I'd rather
now.
that stuff's not in his nose than, you know, it's
You've
so
let
what?
go
It's
of
on my
that kind of
t-shirt.
vanity.
Don't care. Totally given up. Look what I'm wearing on my feet. Boots.
Obnail boots. It looks like someone's wandered straight in from the street, digging up a road, into here to do a podcast, stopping only to jam an unwanted suppository into a stranger's bottom who's probably a child.
But anyway, so I'm covered in like snot, children's snot. And then I got a delivery and the Amazon man opened the door. And I sort of looked, I took the package and signed for it. And then I noticed I've got snot all over my t-shirt. And then, obviously, you realise what it actually looks like.
Gubbins.
Yeah.
What's name?
Jism.
Man muck.
Spunk.
Cock porridge.
Baby gravy.
Butter.
No.
Tummy worms.
Oh, Jesus
So
Christ.
what is that delivery man? He sees you. A man who minutes ago was the star of an Athena poster with a lovely
I
child.
put my child down gently. I ran to the door. nimble-footed as not to wake him. Opened the door and sort of saw it at the same time as him.
God.
And I thought, I'm not going to go into what it is. I just said, that's not what you think it is.
What did he say?
He just looked at it like it was.
I think the mistake you made is like trying to imply that you understand what's going on in a stranger's mind.
Why?
I'm always trying to close down that gap between me and what's going on in the mind of others. But you've got to know what's going on in the mind of others. You've got to know for sure that man's
I
thinking
knew
that.
what was going on in his mind. Cause
Did he look down with the regards? Yeah.
No, maybe, I don't know. But I felt that he was looking at it judgmentally going, oh, took the day off work to masturbate, have you, sir? While you're waiting in for your deliveries.
It's a shame, really.
It looks very similar. Like once
it's the basic same produce. I mean, I heard someone say once that it's the basic same ingredients. I mean,
who
other
said
than
that?
It's just
You, when you were trying to get someone to eat it.
What?
Snot, I mean. It's
Come
only
on.
the same as spunk. Come on, Mum.
Who was you saying?
I said, Mum. I regret it. It was you.
Unbroadcastable.
No, that's not unbroadcastable. So anyway, yeah, I'm a parent and I'm failing quite badly at it.
Are we ever truly adults? You're listening to Russell and Matt's podcast. Teenage boy poses as a doctor in hospital gynecology department for a month. Now, already, I identified, when I was a teenage boy, I wanted nothing more than to glean knowledge of that aspect of femininity. But the fact that the boy could pull it off for 1 month,
You wanted nothing more than to be a medically qualified gynecologist.
that's all he wanted.
No,
That
you.
is-
You just said that's what you
I was a
wanted.
boy with a dream. I was like a real life Doogie Howser.
You didn't want to. You want that. You just wanted to see pictures of it, didn't you? You didn't want to actually go and have to do the day-to-day grind.
I don't want the daily grind of diseased vaginas. All I want's the daily grind of diseased vaginas and I'll be a happy man. Would you like to see a healthy one? Not interested, sir. Not interested. Come back when you're poorly, love. A teenage boy posed as a doctor in a hospital gynecology department for over a month before staff realised he's not a physician. I don't think you should be able to get away with that in a sandwich shop or
No,
anywhere.
but like when I was 17, if I did anything for a month, even if it was something good,
What, like?
I don't know, like helping old people get their shopping.
You wouldn't do that. You
I
wouldn't
wouldn't.
help. Why don't we encourage people to help one another?
Well,
why
I'd
don't
help
we
them get their
why don't we
shopping
use
and then
this
look at their
podcast
genitals.
as a vehicle?
What? No, I didn't say anything.
We could help others. I heard genitals. We could be using this podcast to say, why don't you do one good deed a day? I'll do a good deed a day. You do a good deed a day. If I change, you change. Maybe the old damn world change.
I think you should do more than because that's too easy.
What, to do a good deed, and then people could
give a
tell us
day.
what good deed they done. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, all right, but
Tell
then
us about a
but
good deed, not boring
I
ones.
bought a homeless man a cup of tea. That's
Boring.
boring.
Boring kindness. Boring kindness.
I think people should do a day. You can volunteer for a
All
day.
day.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear detailed accounts what
All
people
right,
have
do
been
a
doing all day
morning.
long.
Go-
Can't I just do one unusual act of kindness a day?
But it has to be more. They can't just be in the moment. You've got to go to someone's house like an old person and go, "Do you need any shopping?" And then go
I think
and
there's
do
got to
their
be
shopping.
imagination in it. I'm not interested in getting an old person. Great that you've done it, but can you be more creative? So I went round to an old person's house, I trimmed their toenails, I painted them violet.
Against their
The
will.
man was in a coma. His family is suing me. There's got to be a novel aspect to it. Is what I will say, man.
All right, people have to do good things and tell us about them with proof.
Interesting things. Proof. Don't just say you've done something good. We can all say
Well,
it.
we have to do it as well.
Have you done anything? What have you done today
I'm always
to
doing
make
stuff.
This is the new item. What have you done today to make you feel proud? Sponsored by M People. Was it that sang that?
I don't know, but yeah.
Anyway, what have you done today to make you feel proud, Matt?
Me?
Anything?
Nothing.
Nothing. We
Hang on,
human
let me
beings
think.
in infinite space. We're going to die one day, and you've done nothing today to make
No,
you
I've done
feel
nothing
proud.
today, but a few times in my life,
You've
people in
done something.
wheelchairs have come up to me and gone, "Can you give me a push?" I swear to
When's
God.
that happened?
It's never happened to anyone
A few
else.
times in your life.
It's very
Give us
rare
a breakdown
in my
of
life.
one of the
3 or 4
occasions.
times. Right, once I was
Give us
walking
a
into
push.
Camden and there was a man, and we were in Kentish Town, and he was crossing the road and he was pushing himself, and he went, "Excuse me, mate, couldn't give me a push," and I gave him a push. And once when I was a teenage boy going to school or coming home from school, it happened in Dartford, and I pushed him for miles.
Really?
And he made lots of jokes like, "I'm going out dancing tonight," or like stuff about it. And I was,
Did you go along with the jokes?
yeah, but you're pushing them so they can't see your face, so you have to go, "Ha ha."
You had to really lean into that
Yeah,
laugh.
you have to really sell
Didn't
that.
sound sarcastic.
And you don't want to sound like you're laughing the laughter
Good one, pal. Good one.
Good one. Chin up, son. Here we go. Where did you
I'm happy to push you without
Getting
the
out here?
wisecracks, you know.
tip you out at the bus stop? I'll go get another one. Yeah,
That is unusual that you're looked upon, but you've got to ransack your own adolescence to find even a mildly altruistic act, and that was forced upon you. It weren't voluntary,
I
was it?
suppose, yeah. But
So let's. What have you done today to make you feel proud?
what have you done then?
All right, hold on. I must have done something.
I doubt it.
Ah,
I sent a really good email earlier.
I really gave him what
2
for.
kisses. Let's talk about this bloke.
Doogie
Teenage
Howser,
boy.
Dirty Doogie Howser,
Dirty
the little
Doogie.
snatch inspector. This 17-year-old lad, he wore a white coat bearing the St Mary Medical Centre in West Palm Beach as he walked to the corridors. Ugh. His deception was only spotted when he presented himself with a patient to Dr. Sebastian Kent, who works in the obstetrics and gynecology department. Dr. Kent, I've got another patient here. Look at her what's name, it's all covered in snitchaboo.
But he's only 17. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with her, but there's hair growing all over it.
I mean, I was terrified. It's like a bunch of spiders lives down the front of her patch. I saw mummies once going into the shower, and that's what made me come this doctor.
I found a lady here. She hasn't got a willy or balls at all. It's just a terrible wound. Take a look, Sebastian Kent.
I've tried to close it up with rubber bands, but all she does is piss and moan. I gave her a Doogie Howser is a real life Doogie Howser.
Well, it's not, because Doogie Howser was a fully qualified doctor. He's not a real life Doogie Howser. He's a real
And
life
Doogie
fantasist.
Howser went on to do the Oscars. That
He
is
did.
Doogie Howser.
He did. But
So,
this
you're
guy's
saying
going
this guy's
nowhere.
not a real life Doogie Howser, because I was about to start a new item. Real life Doogie Howser. But it doesn't have to be Doogie Howser, Matt. Imagine a real life Del Boy, or a real life Steptoe and Son, or a real life, not Bill Cosby, but something else that's not so contentious. Real life things.
Okay, real life versions of
Stuff.
Wurzel Gummidge.
Imagine a real life Wurzel Gummidge.
I
a
don't have to
man-
imagine. He's in front of me.
Imagine if you will, Matt, a kind of scarecrow creature that 1 minute's got his crazy head on, and the very next minute it's after a fella, and it's time to get over and waffle them.
That's quite a good impression.
It was pretty good, that wasn't it?
Hang
I
on.
done one of Martin Luther King the other day. It was top notch.
You did an impression of Martin Luther King.
I mean, all the other Chelsea fans liked it.
Hang on, I don't even know how he talks. There's only that one famous...
will come down
That's Elvis.
mountain.
That's Elvis Presley.
That was not Elvis. I will leave. Oh, hold on a minute. You ain't nothing.
Thank you very much.
But a hound dog. That's a good Martin Luther King. Is this wrong?
I've
Well,
got-
hold on a sec. G's black. You don't look pleased. It's going in the poem.
He's not actually
It's
said
going in
anything,
the-
just hissed.
Can't. He's just hissed at us. He'll answer us through poetry.
If I can have a dream. There you go.
I did one in an episode of The Truth. And I just got, because I was watching that film about Martin Luther King the other day, and I thought, I could have done that better than that, mate. I could have done it better.
Really?
I thought I could, because, well, I don't know. I mean, there's
You
some
would
areas
have had
where...
to wear black makeup, and that would have been very racist, so maybe not.
Yeah.
I've been hired for my voice, guys, really,
Guys,
on
just
this.
look, we're not prepared to look.
Black me up, I'm ready.
Now, in the name of Martin Luther King, black me up like it's 1965.
I have a dream where white men can take roles from black men.
This abundance of roles for black actors has gone on for too long. How about me, a white man
It's
from Essex,
racist to
playing?
let only black people play black people.
Surely you saw my Malcolm X at the National Theatre.
Hey, listen.
What about real life Doogie Howser?
Yeah,
If you
get to
met
the-
a real
get to
life
the bottom of
something,
this.
send us that real life thing. And what have you done today to make you feel proud?
Dr. Kent, Dr. Sebastian Kent.
I've gone off Dr. Sebastian Kent.
Well, listen to what he says here.
Go on.
The first thing I thought was, and then he repeats himself, so it's a bit weird. I am really getting old because these young these young doctors look younger every year, Dr. Kent said.
It's weird that he's approached it as if he's sort of doing like a sort of I don't know. It feels like a sort of like an R&B song. I'm getting so old. Like why is he sort
He
of
built it up. They could have lost that whole I
Gospel.
am getting.
Yeah, I'm really getting old because these doctors look younger every year, and their knowledge of medicine and vaginas
Yeah,
is
that's what you
deteriorating
think.
by the moment.
This
lad didn't even know the proper word for one. Calling it I'm an old Mother Hubbard, and then giggling and sprinting out of the room.
Yeah, like, all you go is, this guy looks young. When he's going, look at that. What's that little button do?
Oh dear, oh dear.
Oh dear.
Staff later contacted security, who alerted the police. The hospital said the hospital immediately notified local authorities, who took the individual.
Staff later contacted security. Oh, that's a bit weird. We better.
Well, Dr. Kent just let it go.
Dr. Kent just thought he's young.
He looks young.
Walked
Mind
off.
you, we all remember Doogie Howser. Perhaps I'm in Doogie Howser now. Perhaps reality is just this construction and I'm actually in a sitcom. Oh, well, it must be that then. Brilliant. I'm just going to go home, talk to my wife, Claire Huxtable. And that's all I'll be doing for the evening because I'm not Cliff Huxtable, who was also a doctor, as it turns out. So you can't be too careful. The hospital said, oh, right. The teenager's mother told police her son had not been taking prescribed medication. According to WSB TV, no charges were filed against Wright. So the lad's not well. He's mentally unwell.
Could be a lie. Could be an excuse, couldn't it?
Right, what would you say?
Well, how specific is his medication? He's taking anti-gynecology drugs as we speak.
If he doesn't get his medicine, he will assume the identity of a gynecologist for a month. Oh, God, has he not took his medicine? Hello, Mother, and is everything normal downstairs? Have you taken your pills? Have you taken your pills, Mother?
Come on, let's have a look. Put your legs up in the stirrups. We've taken these stirrups away from you a few times now. Come on.
Yes, and I've spoken to the British Medical Association about that because you had no business doing it, did you?
Now, imagine he is completely mad and he believes that he is one, and then he's just like, oh, they just won't let me practice. Every time I start up and I get a few new customers, or whatever they're called, patients.
I didn't spend 7 years at medical school to be spoken to like that, Mother. Now, let's have a look.
When you read these
So
stories...
I lived in there, did I? And then out I came to be one of the finest gynecologists known to man. Take your bloody medicine, Doogie!
What is the truth behind this? We need to find out.
The truth behind it is, I mean, look, if there is an issue here at stake, it's how can anyone pretend to be anything for a month?
For a month. Because if you're like, if he just walked around the corridors...
I'm struggling to be me.
I know.
And I am me.
Yeah.
Like, I
struggle to do jobs I'm trained in. But
jobs I've trained in, roles in life. I sort of sometimes think I might just become a totally different person, Reggie Perrin style. It's a sitcom from the 80s in which a man gave up his life. I sometimes think I might just start a new life.
Apparently, I've heard this. Anyone doing any job, when you read writers telling you how to write and they go, well, I just think I'm getting away with this. Everyone says that, even policemen. But I always think this, when you're a policeman...
Sometimes I think when I'm conducting some institutionalised racism, getting away with this. Whoa, you are, and it's got to stop.
No, but like when policemen walk down the road, sometimes they must think, oh yeah, I'm a policeman.
I had this amazing moment with some policemen. They pulled over in one of those red police cars. That means they're armed. They come over and they goes, "Oi, Russell!" And I went, "Oh, right there." And I'm always very nice to the police, always very nice.
Sign me gun.
Well, they pulled open, and like in the back of their car, they had like a big cupboard of guns. And they went, "Oi, come and have a look at this." I went, pull back a thing. Just loads of guns. I went, have a look at that. And I was like, bloody hell, chap, that's amazing. Well done. On your way then, got to see that, mate.
That's terrifying.
They just showed me a big load of guns, like as if like they couldn't believe it. Like it was an ice cream van, and the ice cream man couldn't believe he had access to all these
Russell, look at this.
Look at that. And they was like, oh no! Like they were still amazed
like
by
handguns or like
rifles, guns. There was about 7 different firearms in the back of that. Oh, yeah, that'll blow your bloody head off, wouldn't it? Hey?
Were they threatening you?
Oh.
Maybe they were like, yeah, that's your revolution there, son. Look at that.
It seemed very like they were. Honestly, it was say someone's got a bag of conkers. Now that's when I see what I mean. That's old. That's an old person thing.
Yeah.
Who talks about conkers now?
Well, I don't know. Do children
they
into
don't
that?
care about conkers.
They don't care about conkers. They don't go to colleges, man.
Kids me ain't collecting conkers. They're looking up people's vaginas.
That's terrifying. The police are going, oh, mate, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. What have we got?
I'll blow you to kingdom come, that will. Now keep walking. Yeah, it's not like
I've got a bag of soup. I've got a bag of soup. Butternut soup.
I'll butternut you, officer. You step away from me with your gun covered and you'll get butternutted. I'll butternut you so hard, I will. Yeah. So there you are, Matthew. It's a dangerous world we're living in. You're listening to the Russell Brand podcast with me and Matt Morgan. Mr. G will summarise the show. Do you feel that we should involve Noel at some point? You're worried that
we should phone
not
him.
been included?
He
He's going to find out.
He is wanting to be involved.
How do you know? Was he reached out to you?
I spoke to him the other day.
What's happening with that fucking
He went,
podcast?
I'll do it.
Oh, fucking come on, let us know. When am I expecting the fucking call? What's going on?
Yeah. No, he said he'll do whatever we want. He'll sit on my knee like a ventriloquist dummy.
Did he
said.
say that?
Yeah.
I'll sit on your knee like a ventriloquist dummy if you want.
Yeah.
Well, that's undignified.
I know. That might be funny for a few minutes, then I'd
It
feel
would ruin the rapport between the two of us, which is why he ain't here now.
Well, I did say to him, look,
Just let's find our feet, mate.
Let's
We
find
didn't
our
turn up
feet,
when
you
you
know.
used to be. Remember you was in that pub band? We didn't used to turn up, did we? And stuff. Only I can muck
Playing the
around with
maracas.
tambourine. Go on, give us a go. Give us a go on your harp. Look, let's face it, there's a few things we could talk about. You wanted to talk about life on Mars. There's an expedition being planned to set up a colony on Mars. Man wants to conquer the galaxy. I myself have been offered a trip to space when I was a married man.
Yeah. What
I didn't
happened to
go.
that?
One of the first spaceship blew up. Didn't it?
No one's gone yet, have they?
I'm not going to space.
One
Have you
of
seen
the-
the people on the first trip? They were right knobs.
That's not the reason not to go.
It
You
is.
better look out the window, not at them.
Behold, the mysteries of the galaxy. What's Richard Branson picking his hooter? Oh, Prince Harry's coughing. He's got a stiffy. I hate it in space. Dear Mum, bring me back home.
What time are we getting home?
I hate it up here.
So hang on, what is the ticket? So your ex, what can we say her name?
Wife.
Your ex-wife,
Why not?
Katy Perry.
What are you saying the name for?
I thought I just said, can I say the name?
Wife.
Oh,
That's what I
wife.
said. I went
Oh, right.
wife. You thought I said Wi-Fi.
I don't know
just
what you were
stopped
saying.
halfway through.
Your ex-wife
Katy Perry.
bought you a ticket to
To
space.
space.
Well, I mean, that's a red flag for me anyway in a
What,
marriage.
she's like saying F
Yeah,
off into
it's only a 40%
intergalactic
chance of living
dimensions.
through this. I'll send him.
And look at this for Easter. I'd swim in a shark-infested pool. And what's this? Visit Charles Manson. And what's this? A pile of heroin. You're so affectionate. This is going very, very, very well. Okay.
Yeah, so what do you get? You actually have a ticket, or is she just saying, "Oh, I will buy you one eventually"? So have you got a ticket to space?
I don't know where it is, but I think it was pretty steep. I mean, it was I often give people a certificate.
Well,
for
so
a
she's paid
I
for
gave
it.
you one for a tattoo. Did you get the tattoo?
No,
You can see. No one
I
ever
couldn't
goes
get a
and
day
gets
off
it.
from my kid.
You could have took him
No, 'cause
in
me-
his
it was-
spunk-covered rags and gone and got yourself inked up in Camden.
You can't get
Still
tattoos when
stands.
you've
Why
got a
don't you get a
toddler.
tattoo?
All right, I will.
Where
I need
did
to
I
get
get you
some
it
more.
for? I bet you can't even remember the
I
infrastructure.
can't remember, but you bought me you didn't buy me, you made me a token beautifully
Mm-hmm.
for a tattoo for me and my wife, but then we couldn't get a babysitter to go and have it, and then we
No
never
one
got round to
appreciates
it.
my gifts. I get everyone to learn to meditate. No one does it. You don't do it, do you?
I
Gareth
learnt
doesn't do
it.
it. G, do you do it? None of you. No, I'm the only person who's spiritually connected.
You're the only person with time on his hands.
I wish I was meditating right now because what you just said then was so hurtful. That's why I don't stay in this dimension.
That's true. You are a very busy man.
I'm very busy. Why? Only this weekend I was with Gaza or reading the Pied Piper. I lead a very, very busy life.
What were you doing with Gaza?
He was so beautiful and fragile. So this is what I think. I think that genius surges through fragile structures, and that powerful psychological structures prevent the flow of that sublime force. So I think there is a fragility to a lot of artists, or even people that have extreme abilities in any arena, because it's like there's a powerful flow that prevents structures, psychological structures holding on. Or, I don't know, the chicken and egg of it all.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there was there's a corollary of fragility in sort of extremely gifted people, and I include myself in that.
Well,
Without
that is
any
weird. That,
extent. I'm in the top 50 brain boxes in a magazine you won't have heard of. That's how clever I might be.
so in the case of Gaza, because I was
Let's
going to
not
say,
get caught up on that. I'm so smart. No, go on, yeah, in the case of
Yeah,
Gaza, go on.
so Gaza, obviously that's football skill, right?
Yeah.
So you think that
But
that's
there's
a heavy burden?
I think the way some people play football, like him, there's a sort of a sublime component. If you think of the speed, the rate at which he's making decisions, it's sort of like it's like, wow, bloody hell, how did you work all that out so quickly? It's sort of an amazing flow to it. It's not like just sort of blunt, crude athleticism and practice. It's like some raw otherness is coming through him. And that's why I think he connects to people. And it's the same, I think, with genius in any discipline. There's some people you think, oh my god, that's a really well crafted piece of literature or a wonderful painting or I don't know, concerto or whatever. And then there's other people. I think the nature of genius is for me, you can't work out how it's happened.
But you know what?
That happened?
Here's the difference.
Go on.
All those forms like art, music, or anything, you can do all your life. Whereas if you're a genius at something physical, you're relying on your body, right? So that obviously can't last forever. Then what do you do? You've got all this. So is that what you're saying?
Like this. Yeah, I mean, I think he is legitimately a tragic figure in that his life has outlived his gift. But I did actually say to you on the show that greatness is still in it because I was commentating on a football match for BT Sport. Well, that's the problem, and the problem I think is like if you were like the nature of genius is it's hard to convey it. But I think that it'd be a sort of a challenge for like so how is Paul Gascoigne going to find another way of utilising that? And I suppose that's a little bit of a quest that he's on there.
How else do other people do it? Like,
well, I think extremely gifted footballers don't offer, like say George Best or sort of Pele has become sort of a brand ambassador figure. Maradona's clearly really trouble.
Beckham,
Johan Cruyff has sort of like clearly had a different kind of football in mind. They're sort of like the extreme. Like David Beckham, was really really gifted, but doesn't seem to have been. Although I think perhaps he made good career decisions. Like he ended up at Manchester United, where there's sort of like good structure and support. And he's
handsome, so he could do all that sort of celebrity stuff.
And he's looked after himself very, very well, hasn't he? And made really, really sort of smart decisions. But anyway, look, none of this is getting us any closer to understanding life on Mars, and that's what you wanted to talk about. I had a ticket to ride, and I don't care.
Right.
But the thing you're interested in is a new colonisation.
Well, there's this
of
thing,
Mars.
and it's called Mars One, and they're looking for 100 people to colonise Mars, and with the proviso that they'll die there. It's a one-way trip.
The only people you're going to attract to go and colonise Mars before the proper structures are there to live safely on Mars is bloody idiots.
Yeah.
So
shall we go about it in the next show?
Because I wouldn't want to. I mean, the fact is, we're going to die here, aren't we? But it just makes you sort of have to confront the finality of your death. Possibly on some uninhabitable red desert.
It's just so terrifying because, in a way, it's like as soon as you leave the planet, you're dead because you're never coming back, right? So,
but isn't it the same if you just went to live in Great Yarmouth,
and then died there, and you think,
and you said, I'm just not coming back. I'm staying in Great Yarmouth. I mean, you're not everywhere else. I mean, wherever you are, you're not everywhere else. It makes you confront death in a new way.
I suppose, yeah. Well, it's like. It's the ultimate form of travelling, isn't it? You can't come back, and you're off the planet. Everything that's ever happened is on this planet, apart from a few things on the moon.
Yeah, just like
you're miles beyond that. You can't go home. It's a bit like, but then when you think, oh, the house you grew up in, right, is in the same place and everything's the same, but it's spinning around the planet and it's flying through space. So the house you grew up in is constantly moving through space. It's not in the same place, only in relation to all the other stuff on Earth. So nothing's really where it was before.
It shows you that our whole understanding of reality is based on consensual constructions of us going, well, this is reality, this is England, this is the way we talk, this is our flag, this is our relationship to space. That's why I think fairy stories are interesting because they try to navigate or negotiate at least that relationship we have with the unknown and the unknowable. So there's an element about a story like The Pied Piper, you just think, what? That's weird. Or sometimes the sort of the chill of a story that works well, a horror story or like a piece of art that affects you, or even the genius of Paul Gascoigne is you think, where does that come from? How is that happening? And I think it's because we know that we're only temporarily awake trying to make sense of the world, and everything is so fleeting, and the stories we tell ourselves are sort of arbitrary. Your house is flying through space, the planet is spinning, we're all going to die. We have to somehow find reason, find rationale, find a way of making sense of our place within it. We're sort of holding on to stories, clinging on to reason.
And that is what the 17-year-old boy who'd been masquerading as a gynaecologist said in court.
Well, young man, you could look at my fanny any day of the week. I keep mine behind my ball bag, but it's just as good and twice as much fun. Now, to summarise what we call a podcast, because we live in the future now, whatever it might be, let's give the microphone to Mr. G, who still seems to be writing
scribbling.
to me. The show is run very much like Paul Gascoigne's Sphere. G is still writing, but the time has expired. Mr. G now with a poem to try and make some sort of narrative out of the meaninglessness of that podcast.
Life serves us a healthy number of heartbeats that nourish us on our different paths. A magic soup diluted by teardrops with a butternut squash thrown in for laughs. There's a theory to everything, so let freedom reign wherever it goes. Reality supplies us with selected suppositories, and God bless the child who has his own. All aboard the Capricorn 1 to the 4th rock past the sun. Yet no matter where we try to escape to, we hold the baggage of where we're from. This earth is forever spinning, revolving with a reasoned grace. So yesterday will always find tomorrow if it looks within the right place.
Mr. G, what a fantastic poem. It's like he almost seemed to know that we were going to be talking about the nature of the infinite. That's one of the... We've got a limited number of heartbeats. How does he do it? Is he a mystic? And he did record... He made that poem just now, live. There's no technical trickery. We could have, G could do that 2 days later if he wanted to.
He's good.
He's a damn good poet. He's a damn fine poet, and you can reach him through me. I'd like to represent him. If you want to email us, you can. Russell, Matt, see, elderly. Russell and Matt at audioboom.com.
I mean, even though we're sat in comfortable chairs now, we used to be sort of up on perches, didn't we?
Look at us now. We're just
withering away.
Brought to you by Audioboom.